Welcome back to Elden Ring. In this video we are doing things completely different. What I have done is I've filtered my search, if we quickly have a look. I've filtered it to view count and I've searched for Elden Ring bleed build because I want to see what is basically classed as the absolute best bleed build in Elden Ring. And the search is quite messed up. You're starting off with a samurai class, then you've got a rune farm, then you've got bleed weapons. There's even things like further down there's an intelligence build. So not all of it is related to bleed. However, I found this one video by Godskin, max damage rivers of blood bleed build, and it's filtered to view count. This has 5.7k and it's higher than 14,000. It's higher than 9.3, which is my video. Is even ranking higher than 229,000 views. So the filter is completely busted, but upon looking at the top searches, so like the top 15 or 20, however many are here, the max damage Rivers of Blood bleed build is the one that stands out the most to me, purely because it's relatively recent. It's Rivers of Blood, which I know from personal experience a lot of players go for, and it's one of the only ones here that is actually a bleed build. So what we are going to do in this video is jump into that video. We're going to watch it. The thumbnail shows 24,718 damage. I'll explain that as we get into it. And just quickly before we do get into this, if you are not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you do sub, turn notifications on. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like. All support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me further as a creator, then check out the links in the description. And let's get into it. So before I press play, this video is from Godskin, so credit to them. I will leave a link to the channel in the description. And the description for this video itself says, insane bleed build with the Rivers of Blood katana in Elden Ring, enjoy. Certain things could have been done to do a little more damage, but that would have left little to no error in me taking damage. I believe this was close to optimal. Let me know your thoughts. So we are basically reacting to one of the top... I wouldn't even say it's really a top. I was going to say like one of the most viewed, one of the best bleed builds, but obviously the filter was a little bit screwed. But from what I have found, one of the most relevant bleed builds in the highest viewed videos on the whole of YouTube. And if you do enjoy this sort of content, then make sure you do leave a like, stick around, all that good stuff, because I am more than happy to do more of these types of videos. If there's anything specific you want me to search and have a look, I'd like to think I have enough experience to be able to analyse this, be a little bit critical where I feel it's needed, but mainly like constructive and that sort of stuff. I've played Elden Ring for over 500 hours, and what we're going to do is make this full screen. And starting off, we have the build straight away. So the Rivers of Blood is plus 10. I can also see here we're using the Dragon Communion Seal. We've got the White Mask. We have the Shard of Alexander, Ritual Sword, Fire Scorpion Charm, and the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia. I've already spotted a mistake. In my personal opinion, I'd probably get rid of the Fire Scorpion Charm, but if not, I would get rid of the Ritual Sword Talisman, because you have to realistically put in the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. That talisman stacks with the White Mask and gives you much higher damage, but obviously it could even work better this way. But let's jump in. I'm going to completely mute the video, and I will be pausing every now and then to explain things that I see. So Ritual Sword, Fire Scorpion, as I explained. Then over here in the Flask of Wondrous Physic, they're running the Flame Shroud in Cracked Tear, because for those of you that are unaware, the Rivers of Blood does deal fire damage. And then alongside that we have the Thorny Cracked Tear, which is going to further boost your attack power with successive attacks. Then they're running the Howl of Shabriri and Golden Vow as incantations to use the Dragon Communion Seal for. There's obviously spoilers. This is bosses in New Game Plus 3. So jumping into the first one, if the video doesn't buffer on me. Okay, I got it back to the previous point. We should be good. So, from the moment this pops up on screen, walking straight into the arena. Drinking Flask, using the incantations, Golden Vow first, then Howl of Shabriri. Builds up a bit of madness. I've never used that incantation personally. Straight in with Corpse Piler. Then dodging attacks. And there you go. That's my first... I'm not even going to say an issue because it's not the player's fault. This, what's just happened, pretty much do one attack and the enemy dies. This was a bug in Elden Ring. I'm not sure if it's actually still a thing. It might be. But they dealt 24,718 damage. And the reason that happened is because there is a bug, or was a bug, where any boss in the game that has 2 phases or more or whatever, you basically have to have a boss that has more than 1 phase of damage. When you come across one of those bosses, any of them in the game, so Fire Giant, just bosses like that have different phases. When you apply a status effect, I think it is just the majority of experiences people are having with this, when you apply bleed, the second phase just completely wipes. If there is bleed, applied when the boss goes into phase 2, they instantly die. I covered it in a video before, but that is the reason they have dealt that much damage to the Godskin Duo. And you'll see they got very lucky with it. This is New Game Plus 3. If that bug wasn't a thing, they've just died as well. So they would not have survived this boss, and the whole video probably wouldn't have been made. So a lot of luck comes into it at that point. So now we've got the Draconic Tree Sentinel outside the Malekith boss fight. Okay, one use, full use of Corpse Pilot, and it took half health. And now the boss is dead. Fair enough, it seems like a typical sort of build. I don't think you can do much to a build. And a lot of people say, if we quickly go back, a lot of people do say that if you're a high enough level, any build in the game is overpowered, and it definitely does feel like that, because I could go and put, I don't know, say I get a basic Uchi Katana, I could go and put seppuku on it or whatever, and it's going to be really, really powerful, because that's just what happens. So we're at 1 minute 21, and if we go back and look at the build again, this player is level 345. They've got 99 dex and 99 arcane. So this is going to be very, very strong, regardless of what you do to it, because their stats are so high. And yeah, I've covered lots and lots of builds myself. I'll probably do even more. But I just wanted to point that out, because a lot of people say, oh, what's the point? I believe some of the comments on this video are well, what's the point? You're leveled over 300. Anything's going to be overpowered. But that's where the fun comes into it, because if you put the time in, you get the runes, you get the levels, you're going to have a lot of fun, because you can pretty much turn anything into a powerful build. But jumping in with the Beast Clergyman, or Clergyman, okay, got a couple of the basic attacks, lost a lot of health there, and only 40 Vigor when you're level 345. So that's phase 1 done. Now it's Malekith. Okay, nice ability on the dodging. Okay, until then. It was going so well. But see, the damage with this build isn't overwhelming. It is not a huge amount of damage. It was just because of the Godskin Duo that I believe the whole video's come about, because of the 25k damage almost, due to the status effect bug on bosses with multiple phases. So this time outside the arena, doing the incantations. And that's another thing a lot of people complain about with Elden Ring. A lot of people don't like buffing their builds, or they moan about having so many buffs on a build. Okay, so in with Godfrey. See, it's not that impressive. I understand it's New Game Plus 3. The bosses are going to have a lot of health. But just look, it's just corpse piler spam, should I say. I mean, that is realistically the best you're going to get out of a bleed build in the game. There we go, Horalu's down. So going into Radagon and Elden Beast. Using Howl of Shabriri. Drinking all the flasks and everything like that. Just see a spirit of someone with a giant crusher. Okay, here we go. They fixed the bug with Radagon, didn't they? You can't just run in and run to his side and get him to glitch out and then use Comet Azure to take him down. You actually have to fight him now. So, okay, decent damage. Let's see what happens with Elden Beast. Just under 4k damage in the first combination of Corpse Piler. Almost half health done already. I mean, the player's doing well to avoid taking damage. They know the boss's movesets. But the build itself, I mean, it's just a typical build, isn't it? A max damage Rivers of Blood, but at level 345. Like, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what level you are. It's all about the build itself. But I know a lot of people stick to the meta being level 150. I've had so many people complain on my builds. Oh, this isn't a build, you're level 220 plus, do it at 150, do it at 125. And that is the end of the video. So, they've taken down Elden Beast, New Game +3, they've taken down Radagon, Malekith. It's good, but it's just a Rivers of Blood. It's just a standard bleed build. There's nothing special to it, and out of the relevance from the highest view counts, when I did a search for Elden Ring bleed build, this is the video I picked because a lot of them aren't even bleed builds. So finding one on YouTube right now, at least for my one search, was a little bit dodgy, a little bit hard to find. But I would still say, like, even though it's not impressive, like, because I've done Rivers of Blood builds, like, all over the place, even though it's not impressive to me personally, I'd say it's probably still, with the little nerf it did have, I'd say it's probably still the best bleed build out there. You're not going to get much better than it. But I'm really hoping at some point soon, it seems to be every like 3 weeks to a month they're getting an update out. I'm hoping 1.05 does come relatively soon and completely changes the balance. It'd be nice for something else to step up and take over bleed builds, because even with a little bit of a change to it, it's not made a difference. Some of the strength builds with colossal weapons and stuff were made a little bit better in 1.04, but it'd be nice to see something completely different step up and take bleed builds out of the top of the meta, because they've just been going on for so long that I think it's about time something else had a chance. But obviously that's my opinion. I still love my bleed builds, I still use them all the time. But what we're going to do is leave that video there. Remember, check out Dugger7, link in the description. That's going to do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it.